Tonight I have the privilege of giving a report of two recent events that we've done here at Morningside. We have a somewhat new concept that you have heard about and will be hearing about at Morningside, and that's the idea of love works. And you see the logo there on the screen, putting the love of Jesus into action. Now, the joy of public speaking is that when you do well, a lot of people know about it, and when you make a mistake, a lot of people know about it. That's not the right reference. So I made a mistake. So let's look at John 13:34. Not John 13. You can read verse 24 if you want. It's an inspired verse, so it's good. But it's the wrong verse for tonight. So John 13:34. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. You know, really there are two great commands for us, to love God and to love others. And love for others is an active thing. It's not just a verbal thing where we say, hey, we love people at Morningside. But there are feet to our actions. There are hands to our actions. There is money to our action. It's an active thing that we're engaged in. And here at Morningside, we want to be actively involved in reaching our community and reaching outside of our walls. And we do a lot of things right within these walls, to love people and to care for people and to minister to people and to disciple people and to evangelize people. But you know what? There's a whole world of people outside when you get past Pelham Road and when you get past All-Star Way that need the love of Jesus put into action into their lives. People that are hurting, people that may need the Lord as their personal Savior. Maybe it's believers that just need a helping hand. And so Love Works is something that we'll be doing here at Morningside in different ways to reach into our community. And I'm going to be talking about two of those ways that we've done recently. So we'll get started here. We'll start with a Hurricane Florence relief team. By God's providence, the Carolinas were hit with Hurricane Florence. And so we were able to put together a team. We had 27 of us on the trip. And here we are. This is the only time we were all together, all 27 of us, the way it just worked with the team and schedules and stuff. So here we are at a Chick-fil-A. Of course, if you're going to be a Christian missions team, you've got to eat at Chick-fil-A on the way. So we stopped at Chick-fil-A and had supper together. So there's 27 of us. 25 are Morningsiders, and then we had 2 that are family of Morningsiders that joined with us on the trip. So it was good to have them along as well. So there's the team on a Friday evening. We left church here about 6 p.m. and headed down, and we were partnering with the Anchorage Christian Camp. That's in Lake Waccamaw, North Carolina. It's about 4 hours from here. How many of you have ever been to the Anchorage camp, either to visit or as a camper? Okay, about 50 or so, 40 of you. Okay, great. It's on a beautiful lake there in Lake Waccamaw, and they're right across the street there. And so we got to partner with them. Aaron Burke was a very helpful partner in this. He's spoken for us here at Morningside, and I appreciate Aaron. And let me say a word of thanks publicly for Aaron's help in coordinating with Morningside to make this trip possible. We broke up into 4 different teams and went in 4 different directions with our work. So this is team number 1, and we were focused on helping with our church planners, Bob and Rochelle Grass. They live in Leland, North Carolina, about 30 minutes away from the camp that we were staying. They were impacted by Hurricane Florence, and so we had a team that got to go. Stephen and Ashlyn Huffman. Kaylee Miller is one of our college young ladies. Dave Brown, one of our young men. And if you saw Dave work, he's still a young man. I mean, that guy works hard. And Dave did a good job helping us out. Josh and Ryan Weiss, one of our other young men, Ryan. And he's good to have Ryan in the service tonight and on the trip. And then Kelly Young. And then Marion Green is not actually in this picture. He'll be in the next one. But he was also a part of Team 1. So we were able to go help them with various things. We helped, there's the Grass family. I'm sorry to the Grasses, it's not a bigger picture of the grandkids. You see me later, and I can maybe show you a more up-close picture. But there's the Grass family, Bob and Rochelle, and they have 4 children. They're in the picture, and we got to go be a blessing. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, but that's also my wife's youngest sister. So I'm actually related to Bob and Rochelle Grass. It was also Rochelle's birthday that day, so we threw her a birthday party. That afternoon we had a 4 o'clock or so break and had a birthday cake and had a little party that day, so helped her celebrate her birthday. Well, here's Marion. He was a part of the Team 1, and his role was vehicle transport. There was a vehicle here in Greenville that needed to make its way to North Carolina, and a vehicle in North Carolina that needed to come back to Greenville. So that was Marion's job. He helped swap vehicles. So thanks to Marion for his help with the team doing the vehicle transport. We did a little bit of tree work. There's Dave Brown back with the chainsaw. He's a good chainsawer. And Ryan, and there's Bob in the green, doing some tree work there at the Grass house. Kelly took that tree down by his bare hands. We're really proud of Kelly. He is the man. Actually, that was a tree that fell, and you can see the root system there. And so we worked and worked and worked, and we could not get that root up. So hopefully they'll be able to get somebody more professional than we are, with bigger toys than we had to work with to get that up. But we were able to get a lot of the tree part cut out and hauled to the road for them. And here I am. I got to play with some big boy toys. Thanks to Josh Weiss. Some people have man toys, and some people have real man toys. And Josh is one of those men. And so he took real man toys on the trip. And the last time I drove a Bobcat was on another missions trip I led. So I get to drive these on missions trips. So it was good to have Josh on the team and bring some of his stuff. Here we are, cutting some holes in the concrete. One of the things that has happened probably over time with their driveway is things have been washed out under the driveway, and so there's this big cavernous area under the driveway. So we were trying to reinforce the driveway, and we ended up cutting 4 holes into the driveway. And so here's Josh using his tool. And here we are, the little mixer on the Bobcat pouring concrete into one of the holes. I know you can't see it right there, but guess who that is driving the Bobcat? Raise your hand, Ryan. There we go. That's our Bobcat driver right there, or at least the operator. 10-year-old Ryan at that point was in the Bobcat. And here's Dad giving instructions probably from the front side. So here we are getting some concrete work done. We also did some pressure washing and of the house in addition to the tree work. So that was team number 1. That's what we spent Saturday focused on, helping around their house with different projects. Team number 2 worked there at the Anchorage camp. And the Anchorage, if you've never been there, it's really in a residential type setting. And so, you're just kind of driving along and boom, there's the camp. And so they have a residence right next to their camp. And that neighbor asked if they could help. I'm not quite sure how it all came about, but the neighbor needed help with a fence that divided their house and the camp. And so the neighbor provided the material, and the camp helped provide the labor. And so that's where we came in. We were able to help the camp be a good neighbor to their neighbor. And so Blair and Jayla Patterson were on this team, and Mike and Asher Beckett. Asher is the, I think, 7-year-old grandson of the Becketts, so good to have Asher on the team. Keith Schumann was on this team, and then Dennis Bollinger. So here's a little planning going on at the beginning of the morning. And then they had to remove the neighbor's fence and cut some lumber. There's little Asher and Keith Schumann behind him. And Mike digging some holes, installing the post. There was the gentleman there in the black. I didn't work on this team, but I think he was just a local friend of the camp maybe that came and wanted to participate and help out as well. And here are the men standing around. They're kind of doing some thinking time. And as if any of you have ever worked on a project, that's part of the project is you got to kind of think about what you're doing. So somebody caught them thinking. And they're building the fence. And then look at that fence. That looks really nice, doesn't it? So if you need, they weren't able to finish the whole fence that needed to be done, so some other folks are going to have to come along and help out. Maybe you want to be the next team to help out and volunteer there at the anchorage. But good job to the fence team on a nice looking fence there. And then what do you do after you work? You go fishing. So if you can't tell it, that's Mike sitting there on the dock and his grandson Asher. I'm not quite sure when that picture was taken, but they're doing some fishing. And so they had a good time, his granddad and grandson. All right, here's team number 3. Team 3 was on the shed door. The anchorage was given a shed to use, so it's about a 5-minute walk from the camp. And so team 3 went over to put some shed doors on the shed. That was Dan and Ashley Crisfield, John Sedevy, which is the Harvey and Alice Jones son-in-law, and then Harvey Jones, and then Kendra Schmidt worked on this team. So here's the shed in need of repair, and they're doing a little planning, John and Dan. Either that or they're staging the picture. Here's demo day. We have Kendra, one of our college young ladies, doing some demo work. And here is Ashley Crisfield and her power tools. So good job, Ashley. You know, if you need a big drill and something, just call Ashley. She'll bring her, I don't even know whose tools those are, but she'll bring her tool and she can do some man's work at your house. So here's Ashley working, and they're building the door. And you can see that that is a big door. I mean, look at that thing. It's, you know, like twice the size of a human. So it's a very big door they're working on. And they had to get some help to actually install them, from what I understand. And here's Brother Jones. He's just going to hold it up for him. Not sure what he was doing there, but he was holding it up. And from what I understand, I never saw this shed myself, but from what I understand, the shed doors are pretty awesome. The shed's not in such great shape. So these doors will maybe outlast the shed themselves. But good job to the shed door team on putting up some good doors there on the shed. And then here we have team number 4. This team was made up of all ladies on the team, and they went to a distribution center, about a 45-minute drive from the camp where we kind of stationed. There was a very hard-hit area of the hurricane, and so this team was Kimberly and her 2 daughters, Corinne and Addison Young, Wanda and Giovanna Courtney, Julie Metzger, Carol Abamusa, and Beverly Beatles made up this team. And so, there's our video. Do we have sound, Rich?
At their house. This is all stuff that was in their house. This isn't a dump. There was a hurricane, and we're going to help out, and that was all the trash. We're going to help out in here.
All right, thanks to the young girls for helping us with that video there. There was some talking going on. If you didn't catch, what they were trying to say was these are remnants of the hurricane. This is, so you just saw some of as they were driving into the distribution center. Just imagine the damage that would produce that much trash out at the side of the road. So this was the distribution center. From what I understand, this was a warehouse where a carnival would store their stuff, but the carnival was on the road for a period of time, and so it was sitting empty. So it was a temporary distribution center. I think the day we were there was either going to be the last day or the next to the last day, something like that. And then it would have to be cleared out for the carnival people to put their stuff back in. So it was kind of a pop-up distribution center in light of the crisis. And so here are some ladies doing some moving and helping out and loading. People would actually come to this distribution center and be able to, if you will, shop for free and get things that they needed. And so our team would help load up. Here are the 2 young girls making some friends. And then there were some Cajun Army helpers. As I understand it, the Cajun Army just wants to help in a time of crisis like this. So these two people, I was watching a little bit of a video. They had recently become friends, and the lady, I believe, lived in the area, but the gentleman didn't, but he came to the area to help. And so you can see they have special shirts there. So it's kind of think of it like we had Love Works, and we went to help. Well, they have something called the Cajun Army, and so they try to help in times of need. So these were two of the Cajun Army helpers. And then here are the two young girls taking a break on the water. Had to get that picture in there. So thank you to the girls. We have the girls in the service tonight, so good to have y'all on the trip. Thanks for going with us. All right, well, after a day's work, some of the team were able to go back to the anchorage that night and have some fun. I didn't show all the pictures of the fun. You can ask Ashley Crisfield if she's recovered from running into the wall, from roller skating. She and somebody were racing. I'm not sure who it was. Amelia? Kimberly, okay. So Ashley and Kimberly were racing on roller skates, and I guess Ashley realized too late that the wall was coming up, so she just slammed right into it. And so I didn't have our adults sign any waivers, but maybe I should have. So they had some fun there at the camp on Saturday evening, getting some relaxation in. On Sunday morning, we got to go to church at Living Word Bible Church. And so here's the team and the church people. The Grasses are in their going into their fifth year of ministry, been there 4 years, serving at Living Word Bible Church. They meet in a community center, so pray for them. I encourage you, they're not that far away. Maybe you want to go up for a weekend and check out one of their services and be with them and help them out. We got to be there for their service. And then after the morning service, we took a picture with their son. After the morning service, we went back to camp, had lunch, and then we headed back to Morningside Sunday evening. So it was about a 50-hour trip that we took. It was a whirlwind of a trip, not a lot of rest, but a good time was had, and we were able to be a blessing with the 4 different teams. At this time, I'm going to ask Kimberly Young to come. She enjoys public speaking and asked me specifically if she could do this. I'm joking. She agreed to do this. So thank you to Kimberly. And she's going to share a testimony. She was on the distribution team. They really had the best opportunity to interact with those affected by the hurricane. And she's going to tell us about what the distribution team did.
Good evening. My family was very thankful to get to go on this trip. As you saw, my husband Kelly was on the trip with Pastor Huffman. They did a lot of really hard work. I heard a lot about it. He was very tired. And the girls and I got to go to the distribution center. We had a great time. It was in Burgall, North Carolina, which was right outside of Wilmington. It was a very small, low-income town. And as you saw the trash piled up, I heard that the trash was piled up like that for 20 or 30 miles down the road. So it was very humbling to see that. We passed over a river on the way there that was 50 feet wide, and they said that during the hurricane and weeks after, it was 9 miles wide. So we got to see a lot of damage that caused. I was naive, and I thought when they said distribution center, it was going to be like Walmart or something. I don't know. But as you saw, it was just some old warehouse that they stored the fair rides in. And the lady in the picture, her sister lived nearby. I think she did as well, but her sister had a lot of damage, and she just saw that the fair was going to be out of town, and she asked if she could use the distribution center for a couple weeks to collect goods and hand them out. So when we got there, there was water bottles and canned goods and bags like our church had packed up, like gallon-sized bags with toiletries and snacks and things in them, which was really neat that the girls got to help hand those out because they helped bag those up, so that was exciting. We got to talk to the people a lot, which was really the best part. I felt like we had the best opportunity out of all the teams. We're very blessed to be on that team because we got to talk to the people in the community, and they had very positive outlooks. They were, whenever you'd ask what kind of damage did you have, and how's your house doing? How's your family? They would always say things like, well, somebody else had it worse, or, it could have been worse, and God has been good. And I got to speak to some people about eternity, and the people I spoke with said that they knew God. It was just very humbling, and it was just a great experience that I don't think any of us will ever forget. I think that everybody on the team would agree that we were the ones that were blessed more than anybody, and we're just very thankful that we have a church that would send a group and see the need for that they would send us, and I'm just very thankful for it.
Let me say thank you. Morningsiders gave in an offering, and that was able to help fund the trip. So very little personal money was expended, and we were able to really send the people on this trip because of the giving. So thank you so much for your giving that made this trip possible. So the 27 people gave of their time, and some of y'all gave of your money, and putting those together, we were able to go be a blessing to the Hurricane Florence people. So please be in prayer for them. I've personally never been through a natural disaster, but I would imagine the effects of this will really be felt for years to come in the future. So be praying for this community. Well, the next event we had as a church with our Love Works event was our Greenville County Parks and Recreation asked our church if we would be a part of their event. Some of you have been to the pavilion because that's where we have our pig picking, and that's where the event was held, and it's called Enchanted Forest, and it was held the weekend prior to Halloween, and it was supposed to be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night event, but because of the weather, it turned into a Thursday, Saturday event, and so we were able to serve Greenville families. Now, you may recognize this family because they're Morningsiders, and they were actually at the event. I got a picture of them. This is the Sacco family. But thousands of people come through this event. It's actually a paid event that people pay for the children to attend. And they dress up and they go through the forest and get candy, and there are booths that they can go to. And Morningside was one of those booths that they could stop at. And so it was serving the Greenville community. And we had different volunteers help. Here's some, the Impact Sunday School class had some helpers, and we kind of focused on Thursday night. And so again, the young ladies showed up to help out, and there's Laura Cropsey. Thanks to Laura, our children's ministry director, she really was the one that spearheaded this effort. And so thank you to Laura for her work in helping us reach out to the community. And they played a little game. It was a simple game. It was candy corn craze. They would take orange bags, and it's kind of like cornhole, so to speak, except with orange buckets. And then we would give them an orange sucker, and we'd also give them a little wristband that had morningside.org/kids on it, and the reference John 3:16. So we had giveaways. And it's hard to see here, but that's Tanya West and her daughter Kate are in the picture, serving as a family. You know, let me just encourage you. I'm getting emotional here, but some of you know I'm a preacher's kid. They call us PKs. But I served the Lord with my family in ministry. It wasn't just my dad that served the Lord. It wasn't just my mom that served the Lord. I was involved in serving the Lord. And I want to encourage you, if you're rearing your children, to include them in your service for the Lord. And take them along. Help them participate. They don't have to do everything you do. They may have other ministries without you. But I really want a little parenting tip there. I didn't plan to say all that, but let me encourage you to include your family in service for the Lord. So here's Tanya, and she had another child there as well. I don't know that he's in the picture there, but there's Kate in the picture. And then some folks from our Pursue Sunday School class, they helped out. And Tim, I saw Tim over here somewhere. There's Tim. There you go. Thanks, Tim, for helping out. Tim's getting ready to ship off to the Air Force here in a couple of months to serve in Special Forces with the Air Force. But he's serving the Lord there a couple of weeks ago at our Parks and Recreation, and two of our young ladies as well. So they worked on Saturday night. And here's Susan Burkholder handing out some candy for us. And then here's Bill Burkholder. And one of the things that we did was we had a jar of candy corn there. And this was really geared more for the adults. You know, the kids could be playing a game and getting some candy. And the adults, they could be taking an opportunity to guess how many pieces of candy corn were in the jar. And in doing that, we would ask for their email address. And they were guessing for a chance to win a Chick-fil-A gift card. There's a theme here. Chick-fil-A, Love Works, Chick-fil-A. Okay, I love Chick-fil-A. But anyway, we did a Chick-fil-A gift card, and we collected over 500 contacts in the 2 nights from the community. So Lord willing, this will be a good way when we have our vacation Bible school next summer that we can capitalize on these from the community that we've made connection with, and then give them an invite to be a part of our vacation Bible school. So maybe you've seen some of these pictures and you've seen these new shirts that people are wearing. You want to know how you can get one? Volunteer. They're not for sale. You need to help us out. So the next time we have a Love Works event, I want to encourage you, if you want one of the blue shirts, help us out. And they're our gift to the volunteers. And so thank you to all of the volunteers. We were going to have a testimony from someone from the Enchanted Forest event, but they weren't able to make it due to work this evening, so we don't have that testimony. But I want to encourage Morningside to be a church that puts the love of Jesus into action. And we will do that in organized ways, but I want to encourage you to do it in unorganized ways. And just as you go about your daily life, because how do people know that you're my disciples? If you have love one to another. And so we need to be the type of people that in our community, if people hear Morningside, they think, wow, those are some loving Christians. Those are some kind people. They show the love of Jesus. They care. They don't just, can I put it this way, they don't just preach at me. They're there to help me. They're there to love me. They're there to give me a hand. So Love Works. We want to put the love of Jesus into action. All right, that's it for our presentation. We're going to take time now to have some prayer time. So look around and find folks in your area or maybe across the auditorium that you want to have some prayer time. We have about 20 minutes that you can have a word of prayer, and then at 8 o'clock, if you would, if you have children, be sure to go pick them up from their children's activities. Thanks so much for coming. You're dismissed.